Speaking very generally, I do not like turn-based games. Most of the time, I don't find them engaging. This means basically like, okay, it's select your attack, do the thing, okay, now cycle through these menus and do more. And it's just your turn, my turn, and what do I do in between cycling through menus? I just think, just wait. That's I find that kind of boring. Unless you get those things where it's the gauge slowly builds up, and then you wait to use your attack, and in that time your enemies can attack multiple times. So it feels like not only do you have to cycle through menus and not feel like anything's happening, you are in a sense kind of timed at it, and I find that almost worse. But the first two Paper Mario games managed to fix all of my problems with that. Not only is the story fun, not only is the adventure fun, not only are the characters interesting and well designed, and, not only does all of that, everything around the combat work, the combat is the best part for me. Because if not for that, I would have never played either of them. But with the action commands, it takes a game type that I hate, that I usually don't play, and it made it something that, hey, I want to get into that. This is what I like. I enjoy this. In fact, I enjoy this so much. These are two of my favorite games ever. And, I don't say that lightly. But unlike pretty much any series that I know of, the Paper Mario series is one that seems to keep trying to reinvent the wheel. With Super, they had a mechanic, and they decided, you know what? This isn't going to work with what we had going before, but we want to try this out. We're just going to go for it. You know what? It worked. It's not quite what I was hoping for. I get, for me, it's not quite as good because it's just a platformer now, but it still works. I still enjoyed the game. Let's be clear. And then, the future of Paper Mario was at hand. And I know I'm just done. What Paper Mario was and what Paper Mario is now are not even really the same genre of games. Not only is the combat completely different, but even everything around the combat that was fun and charming and, just great, all that's gone. Or just about all of it. But the combat leaving is what hurts the most. I was about to get Sticker Star, and then a friend of mine said, dude, don't get it. Just don't. And then I looked online what it had in store for me if I had gotten it, and I was crushed. Rather than having the badge system, rather than, anything working the way it had before, attacks were consumable. You use them, and then they're gone. Then you have to go back. You have to backtrack in a non-organic way and get more stickers, because who doesn't love going back through generic levels and collecting things 100 times just so you have something to use against the boss? Oh boy, is that fun. And then Color Splash got announced, and I was like, have they learned their lesson? No, they have not. Okay, awesome. Color Splash had a lot of the same problems, but also had its own share of new problems. This time, not only was the combat not great, it was plagued with a myriad of other issues, most of which, it is slow. And that was one of my problems in the first place. It's either too slow or too fast. And either way, it's not engaging. Slowing down the combat even more, just how am I supposed to not be bored? And then Origami King got announced. And I was immediately pessimistic. I'd been disappointed twice in a row. I mean, what could I have honestly expected? Imagine my shock when yet again they tried to reinvent everything while still having some of the same problems. Enough people have talked about the billions of coins that you get, and the fact that the partners are as generic as possible, and the fact that there's no experience or badges or what have you. How things are not good bosses. everyone's already said these things. That I just don't want to go over that again. But there's two things that upset me the most. Number one, that damn interview with Tanabe is the most out of touch thing I've ever read. That interview felt like I was traveling through the desert. I'm thirsty. I'm dying. And then he brings me a glass of water and then spits in it and then hands it to me and says, "Here, drink up." But oddly enough, even more frustrating than that, surprisingly, even more frustrating than that, is all of the many, many people just demoralizing anyone who liked the first two games. Oh, if you don't like Origami King, you're not a real fan. A real fan of what? This is not even the same genre of game anymore. They're not even close. That would be like, just take a moment to imagine for a sec that the new Pokemon games come out. Everyone gets really excited. Everyone's really happy. And then Pokemon announces that Pokemon had a good run as an RPG series, but now we're going to turn it into a puzzle game. And also, we're not going to add any new Pokemon because for some obscure, inexplicable reason, we can't do that anymore. Can you imagine how many people would just be upset at that? I can't imagine many people would be happy with such a drastic change. And Pokemon's something that's stagnant and stale. Let me be clear about that. But if you were to completely change up the genre into something else, strip it of many of the things which people found interesting about it, then completely change genres, you can't expect people not to be upset. Sure, some people would like it. I'm not denying that. But the larger group of fans would be upset. I mean, how can you really expect any different? Paper Mario has been gutted of so many of the things that people liked, so many of the things that were unique and creative about that particular series. And then they say they can't try anything new while reinventing the combat every single game. And I see people just, for some reason, defending that. And, if you like Origami King, it's fine. I have no problem with you liking it. But trying to call out people who were like, hey, this still isn't a turn-based RPG, with the original combat. Like, that's all I want. I don't need Thousand Year Door a second time. I don't expect it to be that good. I feel like Thousand Year Door, regardless, would be a standalone that's its own special thing, because that game goes to weird places. You can't get away nowadays with a lot of the things that Thousand Year Door did. I understand that. That's not what I'm asking for. Even the first one, I would expect another something like the first one, or even something on that level of, not super dark. I don't need Thousand Year Door a second time, at least as far as the story and writing and the world are. What I do want is Thousand Year Door game mechanics. That's it. The mechanics are, the combat mechanics are what I fell in love with for this series. And, I'm glad that there's some spiritual successors going out there. You got Bug Fables. You got Papercraft. I don't remember what it's called. There's another one coming out, which I don't remember what it's called. But it looks good, and they said they've got action commands. So, I mean, super awesome, great. It's also tiresome. I think for the foreseeable future, I can't. Paper Mario isn't what it was. It's not the same thing anymore. It's completely different, completely unrecognizable. And that's why I think I'm just done. Okay, I give up. At least I have the first two. And even Super, I'll accept that as well. But I won't have any faith that I'll get anything new because life sucks and then you die. I tried to make this once already and it was an angry rant and now it's just depressing. Oh well. In other news, YouTube has taken away all of the buttons. You must now do a CAPTCHA to watch any videos, and you can only subscribe to audiobooks, because that's what the video site YouTube is all about. Thank you for watching. Life is suffering, and one day we're all gonna die.